Hello there and welcome back to the channel. Today I am here at Northern Offroad, which means that cool stuff will be happening. There's Gav over there eyeing things up under the Hilux, and that is because today
we are fitting BULLBAR.
I already have a BULLBAR. Are we fitting that one?
It's a BULLBAR.
Oh yeah. That is right. At long last I finally clinched and bought an ARB BULLBAR. This is a non-winch ARB Deluxe for the YN60 Hiluxes. Well, it should be for the YN60 Hilux because it's going on one. And Gavin was very quick to remind me just now that it also came off one. I bought that second hand, and then Gav helped me to restore it. What we did was do some panel beating, fix some damage that occurred from a very dodgy recovery situation. We got it powder coated, I got some new indicators for it, new stickers, and now it is basically brand new again. So what we have to do now is take that BULLBAR off, obviously take the bumper off, and then start wrestling that thing into place. And I say wrestle because Gavin, he actually has one on his, and apparently it was quite the palaver to get it fitted. Mine is second hand, so obviously it has been stretched and taut, and it's been through a few things. So it might be a bit cattywampus, and obviously my chassis has over 600,000 kilometers on it, so that might be a bit cattywampus as well. And even if you buy a brand new ARB, which Gavin did, well, a brand new ARB is a brand new ARB. These things are never brand new, and probably the jigs that they use to make the ARBs are getting a bit old as well. But in the end, ARBs fit so precisely that actually it works slightly against you when you fit them on the older vehicles, because things move, things get a bit skew, and the ARBs, fitting as precisely as they do, make that a bit difficult when it comes time for fitment. And another reason why ARBs are slightly more difficult to fit than, say, that BULLBAR I have on mine, that BULLBAR is mounted with 4 bolts. I have been able to uninstall it and reinstall it by myself before. That one, on the other hand, is 8 bolts, and then it has another 6 at the bottom right there. So yes, it's a bit more difficult to fit an ARB, but when it's on, it's on. And when it's on, you also have an ARB BULLBAR on your Hilux, and that is dope. So what we're going to do now is we're going to crank the music, cue the time lapse, and get this thing taken apart. Alright, so the bumper is off, there it is lying in the background, and here we can turn our attention to this thingamabob. As I said earlier, it's basically just mounted with 4 bolts. That bolts into the front of the chassis, and that bolts into also the front of the chassis, but just a little bit back. That really is it. That is definitely less than ideal. I'm definitely very excited to get it on, but from all the horror stories, is that the right word?
Yeah.
That Gavin has told me with regards to putting ARBs on these things, I have my apprehensions. I'm a bit nervous, so hopefully that goes smoothly. And if it doesn't, certainly you will be updated. And with regards to the question with what we are going to mount that thing, well, here's the hardware. Let's hope that Gav got the right stuff. All high tensile hardware. Sadly, we could not get galvanized. But it is high tensile, and high tensile is what we need.
We're going to pick the BULLBAR up, and we're going to put it on. And we're going to put bolts in it.
Straightforward enough? Yeah. Alright, and so it begins. Gavin, quickly tell the people of the internet what you just told me.
The front leaf spring bolts need to get half removed.
Half removed, you say. So what's the exact thing that we need to do with respect to that right now?
That's when you get this nut off, and we need to push the spring bolt, shackle bolt, whatever the hell you want to call it, so it's flush with the...
So that's kind of the thing you got to deal with since the ARB sort of becomes a part of your chassis. What we have to do now is loosen the inner bolts of the front shackles and slide them slightly out so that they, well, sit flush with the chassis as Gavin mentioned, so the BULLBAR can just slide in. That means jacking up the chassis so that there's no tension on the front leaves so we can slide the pins. But on the bright side, these holes on the side of my BULLBAR do make sense now, Gavin. This hole is for the shackle bolt to come through. So that's actually where your pin will sit now. So, I guess that's what you get when you buy over-engineered parts. Now when I say over-engineered, of course I mean engineered just enough for a 4x4 because, well, 4x4s like to break, and if it's over-engineered, then hopefully it shan't break. So as you can see, the front is completely in there, completely suspended. Now there is no pressure on the pins, so we can take off the nuts, tink, tink, tink it with a small hammer until it's flush, and then we can move on with the bull bar.
You was wrong. There's still pressure on these, but now we're going to use the jack to jack up the front diff to slide the pins.
Okay, sorry, you're right. I apologize. I do not do this for a living like you do. Now, one thing to keep in mind when fettling with your suspension hangers on these is these little bolts that keep them in place are always quite rusty, and they are very, very fragile. So just be tender, take your time, be patient, because more often than not, one will strip and you'll have a terrible time. Ask me how I know. Sitrep, a problem has happened. As I've mentioned multiple times earlier, these bull bars fit very precisely according to every single measurement of the vehicle for which they are designed. And yes, it is designed for my Hilux, but it is not designed for my Hilux with a big ass radiator in it. The radiator needs about 17 millimeters more than the ARB is willing to give it. And I'm always going to have an oversized radiator because my engine is twice the size of what normally comes in these, so it's not exactly a case of, oh no, just put a smaller radiator in. So what we're going to do now is we are going to cut. We are going to cut this bull bar just here on each side. We need to cut about 5 millimeters off there to make it clearance. And yes, oh no, you're cutting into an ARB. Oh no, they're expensive. Oh no, you're making it less strong. That is my ARB, that is my Hilux. My ARB is going on my Hilux, no matter what. Steam practically coming out of his ears.
Should have all in your car.
So to clear the radiator on that thing, we need 17 millimeters of clearance overall. So that is mathematics. That is 8.5 millimeters clearance on each side. So what we're doing is we are cutting 10 millimeters on each side. That'll give us 3 millimeters of wiggle room, which should be enough. Also, we are not cutting, we are trimming.
We are cutting. We are not trimming.
There you go. After some limp-wristed swings of the hammer, the first cut is done. That's like $500. Alright, now after all the cutting and grinding and sanding and, what's the word? Filing it down to a fine finish, we are now left with bare metal. And bare metal is a problem because, as we all know, hopefully, bare metal rusts. Luckily, the industrious folks at WURTH have a solution for that in zinc spray. Now what this stuff is, it's a self-etching weld-through galvanizing primer. So it self-etches to bare metal, leaves a galvanized coating, and if you're using it while fabricating stuff, you can weld right through it. So that's pretty cool. And yes, for those of you that watched the video on the Opel where I found all of that rust, I have preemptively gone ahead and gotten lots and lots of it for the Opel. Those of you that haven't watched that video, it's up above, go check it out please. And also for the Opel, obviously, because it's rust, you don't spray that on rust. I've went ahead and gotten lots of the WURTH rust converter as well. So if you want to cop some WURTH products, I mean it's good stuff, head down to www.wurth.co.za, or you can walk into one of their 15 nationwide walk-in shops. Self-tapping screws to all of the electric tools that you could ever dream of, WURTH pretty much has it. Over 6,000 products, and online they do offer nationwide shipping. Another thing before I forget, I believe I didn't say it earlier, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you would like, and leave a comment. Let me know what you would like to see more of, and let me know how you're enjoying the videos thus far. And I say again, please do hit the like button. The YouTube algorithm really likes it when you do that. Alright, we gave the WURTH zinc spray some time to dry, then we coated it with a fresh paint of the cheapest black spray paint that we could find, and now we are at the moment of truth. Gavin, if this thing doesn't fit, you reckon we just burn everything?
Yeah. Oh yeah, very nice. Very good.
Yeah. Alright, now back to ARB things and old car things. You see the gap here? I can fit my finger in there. If we go to the other side, walk a bit quicker, you can't even get a credit card in there. That is because on the old Hiluxes, your bushings on your body mounts, well, they collapse, and always on the one side more than the other. Actually, Gavin, you did yours, you told me earlier that your Hilux sagged on the same side. So that's something to look out for when you do this. And obviously you need to get these gaps even on each side, because once you start flexing, you're going to start breaking and bending and ruining things. So what we have to do now is climb underneath and put some washers in between the bushing and the body on the body mount. How hard is that?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. But other than that, this install has been going so much better than either of us expected, because I think the reason that we had less struggles than you had, Gav, is because this was not a virgin BULLBAR. This came off another vehicle and lived on that vehicle for about 20 to 30 years. Gav bought his brand new from Australia, lad, and that's probably why he had such a bad time mounting his.
We might have to get a skid plate type thing on here.
Yeah, well, the reason I haven't done a skid plate yet is because my thought process was not if, when I crunch that on a rock, I just go to a place and they make me a custom, proper aluminium radiator, because I've spoken to some people that are smarter than me, and I think the reason that I've had some issues with the cooling system on this, it never overheats, never gets warm or anything, but it pushes coolant out of the overflow no matter what. And the working theory is that this radiator does not have enough flow rate to support the engine. But that is not what we are focusing on now. Gav has found a skid plate. Okay. He's going to occupy himself there, but we have to focus on getting the body spacing right so that I don't have to worry about that when I'm out on the trail. So here's the plan. We had to improvise a bit, but this is what's going to happen. This is a shock mount that we went ahead and modified. That will sit that way up, and then underneath it we will have these washers. The washers will do the spacing. That shock mount is just to make sure that the bushing does not collapse around the washers instead of being supported on top of the washers. Now we just need to jack up the front of the body so we can slide out that those bushings and slide these in underneath them. Well, not underneath them, in betwixt them and the chassis. In betwixt the body and the chassis, that one. Anyways, all we need to do now is tighten all of the bolts. Only one of them still needs to go in. That's giving us a little bit of grief, but it just needs about half a millimeter of clearance, so we can just send that away, put it in. And once everything is tightened, we can go ahead with final assembly, get the spots mounted, get the Mark 1 Golf indicators in, wired up, and then she's right as rain. So while I've been whittling away at that bolt like a caveman, Gav has been keeping himself busy making a thing.
That would be to protect your stupid big radiator.
And where's that actually from? Because no chance you just had a random skid plate lying around, which by the way fits much more perfectly than it has any business to fit.
This is a random skid plate that I had lying around. I have no
Hell yeah.
So obviously it was designed to go in a BULLBAR here, just not in this BULLBAR specifically, or probably this vehicle.
Look at how, like, that's just, you've outdone yourself here.
I am a master.
So the radiator does have a few bumps and ridges in it, and you wanted to have 5 millimeters of clearance?
A bit more.
Okay, but that makes sense because the radiator moves, the body moves, that thing moves. We have to make sure that it won't wear through my plastic radiator. So while Gavin is off finishing his little plate over there yonder, I'm going to install the spotlights and indicators to get that entire thing put together again. Luckily, the ARB already has holes in it to mount the spotlights. As you can see, the housings are there. Now I need to insert the cores and the indicators. Exciting things are happening. That looks proper. Alright, let's get it on. Checking the gaps quickly to see if it's still good. Is it good?
Yeah.
Nice. Gosh, I would have never thought to do that. And that was a bit of scrap metal lying around the shop. Too good. Now I've been saving these for last because they are the easiest thing to put on. And that's sort of what completes the look, because it just makes the spots look right. Come on, just a little ridge. That's straight. Now close the bonnet, get that final gander at it. This is going to be so good. Just imagine some non-copyrighted music as I pan across. Oh, that's so good. And then we get it from afar. And that skid plate, Gav, that skid plate really was the cherry on top of the cake. Because no longer can you see the slightly skew radiator, but it actually makes the car look put together, sort of like it was manufactured for it. And an added benefit of the plate is the ARB has these prongs where it goes into the chassis, and normally that's just sort of a weird empty gap, and now it's filled in. It's complete. And Gavin's doesn't need it because he's got a Bro Street 4i with the original 4i radiator, so he doesn't need a big old skid plate for his radiator, but he just said off camera that he's going to do the exact same to get that same effect kind of look. That's going to be good.
Right, I forgot to record an outro because I am not incredibly smart. So here are a few pictures of what Gavin's Hilux looks like. Right before I remind you to please like, leave a comment. If you really would like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you want to see more of, what you want to see less of. And I will see you in the next video. Cheers!